Like to call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from January 27th. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And the items that were approved by committee two. I'll make a motion to approve those.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business. First item on the list is demolition. 139 Old Barn Lane, David Abelo.
Stand here.
Yeah, please.
Meet all of you. We're seeking to demolish the residence at 139 Old Barn Lane, which consists of a two-story house, two-car garage, and deck. Concurrent with this application, we're in the process of designing a replacement house. Owned by the same property owner. Shown.
Can everybody in the audience keep it down, please?
Which is shown in a fairly preliminary way, but for information purposes in assets that we submitted.
Do we know the architect that?
We weren't able to discern that. It was built by the people that sold, or the estate that sold the house to the present owner, probably built in the 90s. But we couldn't find any information about the origin of the design.
Feel comfortable that way problems. Yeah.
We have the CFO that was dated 12/12/91. So that's when it was constructed, 12/12/91.
And there's no architect on record for. Emily, how do you feel?
I'm good with it.
It doesn't strike me as
No.
particularly,
Okay.
it's only a stranger pool shaped in line.
Okay. So maybe we'll make a motion to approve the demolitions.
Yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's it, you're good.
Okay. So I'm gonna sign this and then we will do 62 Parsonage Pond Road.
Thanks, you know.
Thank you. '62 Parsonage Pond Road.
Hi, good afternoon. So we are applying for our demo permit for 62 Parsons Point Road.
First introduce yourself,
Oh,
please.
Kevin O'Sullivan, Kevin O'Sullivan Associates. With a design firm that it has designed the new building to go in basically existing. So existing house was built by our friend, Mr. Davis, when the properties were, when this development was subdivided. And the homeowners have owned this house since it was built. And they've asked us to recreate a much more, well, a house that kind of accommodates their current living requirements for their family.
Yeah, this was, it says 1997 was built in.
Yeah, thanks.
The CO states this was CO 4197.
Charming house, but that's historical governance.
Yeah.
I think it's one of my nicer ones, you know.
It is.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
proportions are actually kind of interesting, but the homeowners have been in there since 1997. And their styles and their aesthetics have changed and their family has grown. How it's grown out of this.
Right. Okay, well. Make a motion to approve the demolition.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Great, thank you.
This one is. Maybe I'll have something's fun.
I think he's.
All this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, you just doing the. You burn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well. Are you keeping this? Or no? Yeah. Okay. 11, sorry, 454 Hedges Lane.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Franklin, the owner of 454 Hidden Lane. I'm here with Alice Cooley, my attorney, and Will Minier, my architect. Just a little bit of history. We're applying for demolition permit for 454 Hedges. The house was built and CO'd in 1972. There's no known architect or builder. I've researched the house through Southampton Town and through files here at Second Pond Village. Obviously, it was part of Southampton Town jurisdiction building department at that time. Basically, in terms of plans, the only thing that we had found was that it was actually from what looked like a catalog, the house, called the American Home Blueprint catalog. And the initial structure was built in 1972. And the owner had done an addition in 1992, and she recently sold it to me back in September of 2024.
Thank you for the history. It was pretty far back, wasn't it? It was all the way back.
Yes,
I thought it was-
I think that seating from the front, that how deep the
Yeah.
house actually goes. There's something to note is that the owner and her husband had, who owned the lot, sitting on separately to the east. So this is 454, 480 is the vacant lot that you probably see. So they were able, having the benefit of both lots, to kind of orient the lot toward the east, which we now don't have that benefit. I'm solely the owner of 454, not 480.
Yeah, it sort of cannibalizes most of the view there. Yeah, again, given the,
Yeah.
It's 1970.
yeah,
Historical? What year did we start?
I think in 1970s kit, the idea is that it. There's probably another example floating around that makes this less important to hold on to.
Right, I just worry that what comes next will be,
Mhm.
we've got much more.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, I think historically people have done the demo with the new house at once to make sure that they can build what they want after, but as far as just a pure demo.
I don't know about building, honestly. I know this was five, but there's nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it's commendable with its historic efforts to blend in with the community and moving this as a result, and the replacement might have some of those same obligations.
I'm Alice Foley, I'm the attorney for the owner. We'll see later in the agenda that the new build is proposed and it's for you today. And respectfully, this house does not meet any of the landmarking criteria,
Thank you.
as charming as it is.
Right, right.
53 years old.
It's definitely new landmark, I think that's it.
All right. I will make a motion to demolish.
I'll second it. We might be agnostic to what's coming in its place
I know.
for now.
Fine. Okay. All in favor?
I
I, yeah,
Just say that. You can- it's-
yeah, I think it's done it. Some of the burden on too much burden on the people who may have researched it when purchasing it. 1970s is not particularly great in architecture.
Next on the agenda is 331 Sag Main Street.
I am Matt, I'm here representing my father.
Yes.
So we can do the same.
And I have to recuse myself. Is on. Good seeing you.
Lovely to see you. I think we're, that's still give us support.
But we can't
No, we
continue.
don't have to. We're only gonna have two members?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a quorum then.
Reevaluate objectivity or?
We'd have to.
No, I think it.
I don't think that I'm allowed
Oh,
to,
As a representative.
yeah, or
If you
As a board member.
feel it's more appropriate to recuse, and you feel it's more appropriate to recuse.
She's the sister-in-law of the applicant.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm allowed to.
No, I understand, I think it's probably a more prudent move to recuse. So unfortunately, would you mind waiting to the next meeting? Next meeting.
It'll be April. Could we maybe offer some comments on it to prepare them for the official vote, since?
John, what do you think?
I have no problem with that, if we want to just work it as a discussion item, and he might be zoomed into this right now, if he's traveling.
Richard's
But I
on.
don't think he will be
Richard's
thrilled.
Yeah, Richard's on.
With an extra month.
Right. I know, sure.
And waiting.
Well,
Rich, are you hearing us?
I believe Alex, the architect, might be on.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay,
hi.
because
Hello.
has
Hello.
excuse yourself, the application has to go to next month, but the board is gonna offer an opinion today, the two members of the board, Emily and Tony, on your application. Megan and Tony, my apologies.
Yeah, there's only 3 of us here today, unfortunately, so we would have to move it a month but we'd like to still comment, but we won't be able to approve it, unfortunately. So, do you want us to comment or do you want to wait?
Yeah, you might as well comment, but I'd rather, I don't really want to wait. No, I don't.
But you're not gonna have a choice, there's not gonna be an approval today.
Unfortunately, it's not.
But the board can still look at it, the remaining members, and give opinion.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know what to say. It just, you know, I don't know what to say.
We thought we were gonna have more members, that's why we're only hearing now.
Are they coming later, or
What do you say?
can you call, are they coming later, or can you call somebody to have them come down, or to get
No,
a form?
the other two members are not available.
Is there any way that we could vote or look at it from the Zoom?
Catherine, you can't because you're not here in person. It would have to be a medical emergency or.
Oh, okay.
COVID still on? No.
Only if is she out sick?
No.
I'm out sick.
I apologize for that. So what we'd like to do.
Can we still do the comments though, just so we're prepared?
Absolutely, Alex.
Okay.
So the home is it larger than the original home or just
I believe it's the same program.
same footprint?
If you would keep the record, your name.
I'm Mac Huff.
Alex, would you care to describe anything about the design or materials with us?
Yeah, if you flip to the elevations, I think that shows the materials the best. Sorry, other way further down.
What page is that?
You're almost there. Keep going.
Page 200?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it starts there, yeah. So we've got fiberglass, cement board siding. You've got the pitched roofs are asphalt shingles, a light gray, and then there's a zinc plated copper roof. That's sort of the first floor shed roof there around the edges, and then the rest of the features, it's mostly light colors, just white wood railings. You got a little bit of the concrete white painted again around the edges there. Not trying to do anything crazy here, so mostly traditional wood framing. And the house is more or less the same size as the one that Rich had there before. So So we've got 2 stories over a basement and then just a small attic space to house AC units. Not an occupiable attic space though.
What is that? I would think it's a little obfuscated.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see with the images representing the home closely how, like,
I feel like the night renderings plus the elevations
I mean, yeah, I can
show
figure it
that
out.
the pit, yeah.
On A003, the middle view from the southwest corner, it's showing some natural siding underneath the porch.
Oh, that I think is just a kind of
Which-
remnant of the way it's rendered. That's the screened porch. So there's a screen there. So I think you're just seeing kind of a shadow of the interior siding. I can modify that to make it a little more realistic, but yeah, I think that's just an artifact of the rendering. But yeah, that small little portion there that you're seeing in the brown, that's a screened area.
This garage.
You're talking about this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the garage in the back, that is existing or that is a new garage?
That's existing. That's just a existing garage on the site. So part of the, I guess, reason that things are a little far away is I saw in the way the code was written that it needed to be images taken from the edges of the property lines. So on the right there, you can see where the camera's kind of pointing. It would be much easier to see the house if I could do it from the middle of the lot there. It's just Rich is a very long lot, so I was going by the letter of the book there. But I can drop the camera much closer, and that'll.
I would love to see it much closer, actually, it would be really
Okay.
helpful.
So that one that's all the way planned north there, on the east side, 3, I can
Mhm.
change that view to be closer to the house, and I think that would make a lot more sense.
yeah.
I was trying to follow the letter of the rule book there.
And maybe just for the expediency for the final meeting, to include some color samples of the white trim and pewter gray.
Yeah, we can get samples of that, no
Okay.
problem. Do you want physical samples you can hold in your hand? Or?
I think even paint swatches would be good, I mean, at least for me,
Yeah.
especially given the traditional nature, sort of.
Renderings and printing don't really reflect the actual color very well.
We can get samples from the manufacturer, that's no issue.
Thank
There
you.
should be a cut sheet for that on your information packet.
I have cut sheets for those as well, yeah, if you'd like those.
Yeah, this is the material that doesn't include, we could look it up ourselves, after numbers who went here.
All right, and then I think the other thing I'd love to request would be the glazing. I don't know if it's in your presentation, the north, south, east, and west window glazing exposure.
Sorry, can you elaborate just a little bit on what you're looking for?
So the window to wall ratio is what we're looking for, the percentage of glass to wall on the north side, the south side, the west side, and the east side.
Yeah, we can include that.
No, but I mean, personally, I would say that the architecture of it, the positioning of it, and the materials don't raise any alarms from my standpoint.
I would agree. That helpful? A little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll adjourn this then
To the next meeting.
next meeting, which I'm hoping will be March,
Okay.
but I don't know because there's 2 of us that are, I don't, because there's 2 of us that are gonna be absent. If we move it to somewhere in the middle of March, we might be able to have it happen,
That'd be great.
but we're gonna figure that out after the meeting. Yes.
Yeah, and we can't even vote on a committee of 2 here because of the quorum, so we can't even.
Okay.
People should be upset if they're not here, so we're all the
No one
good.
knows us that we just
Yeah.
have a situation.
Yeah,
And
totally.
we sharing your frustration.
Sorry about that, I know it's, LA is not a fun place to go.
We're here, hopefully we'll have everything before. It'll be smooth as possible.
Yeah, so we'll reciprocate this smoothness.
All right.
Thanks, sorry about that.
Thank you.
So the deadline for new submission will be March 14th.
Okay, we're ready to move on to four.
You can adjourn.
Oh, sorry, I did. I thought I adjourned, but we have to vote on it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move to 454 Hedges Lane.
Let me get.
Oh, and. Who's coming?
Michael Frank again, owner, 454 Hedges Lane. Gonna hand this off to Will Minier, who's the architect. Alice Cooley here, and we also have Daria Shalinska, who is our landscape architect, who's here by Zoom. Just to say, as owner, I feel you in terms of that, the house that's been there for a long time and demolishing that. But I think we put together something that is very appropriate for that location. And also, we were very mindful of the neighborhood and the neighbors, which we'll go into during the presentation. Just two quick
One
notes.
second though, because I think that they gave back. Emily and Tony gave back their presentations, but I think the new home is in the packet from the demolition.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. I just wanna make sure we all have it. Okay, great. Thanks.
Like I said, I hand this off to Will, but just two quick perspectives I wanted to give. And you might go to number 5 under our under new. And that's a page 2 on number 5. So just a little bit of what's kind of going on in the neighborhood. I thought this was a pretty good perspective of the bird's eye. Like I said, during the demolition application, 480 is a vacant lot that we'll sooner or later have an applicant here in front of you for something new. Across the street at 453, there is a they've been in here for something, a substantial addition.
Yeah.
And then even as you travel a little bit further west, on 414 and 416 on those two vacant lots, those are new builds that are happening now. So bit of and the area's better for worse evolving.
Right. Thanks.
A second perspective, and just page number 10 and also number 2, is just a little bit of a before and after of what's there and what we're proposing. So this is what we're proposing, this is what's there. Obviously what was there is 52 years ago, and obviously they had both lots for everything in east, like I mentioned. I think what we're proposing here is pretty appropriately sized for this lot. And as we'll get into, we've made sure to think about front yard. We're actually beyond the 8-foot front yard that we're allowed. We also thought a lot about the side yard, especially on that west side where we have 2 houses existing, making sure to keep, again, well beyond our allowable 40 feet, we're between 45 and 55 feet away from that neighbor. So again, just 2 perspectives, and I'll hand it off to Wilson here.
That's really helpful, thank you.
Good afternoon. Building architect.
I
Everyone good? Yes, let's start with the site survey, if we can. I think number 2 of the package you gave. if you zoom in a little closer, you'll see the existing house silhouette on the proposed. Just want to say that the existing house is non-conforming for today's zoning, being 60 feet off the front property line and only 21 and a half feet off the eastern property line. We did play around with ideas of developing an application, but you know, as you see, it doesn't really work. And this house now sort of works because it relates to the east and not to the rear of the house. So if you want to go to let's stay on that actually. Talk about what Michael said. Our house, we've pushed it back further than required from the setback. We're 90 feet and change, almost 90 feet and change to the closest point. About 95 feet to the middle of the house, and if you actually zoom in closer into sort of the front of the house, you'll see our house starts where the rear of the current front building ended. We're almost in line. Just to put you in perspective, we're 35 feet further back from the street from the body of our house. And also being sensitive to the fact that lot's narrow in the front, it widens in the back. When you're on the street, it might feel like a narrower lot than it really is. So we went a little step further and actually tiered the house to the west and put it further away. The house is over 100 feet on that garage portion. And the second floor steps, and again, that's all sensitive to try to make the house step back as the lot widens and not feel wide to the street. There's a proposed tennis court. You'll see full little pergola on the backside there. I can let Jerry talk a little bit more about that. Renderings, if you'd like to walk through the renderings, I believe that's the best part. Check on materials, that was 3s. So sort of set you up the progression to walk around the house. This is from the street. Current tree there that we try to represent as well as possible in the winter settings. But you'll see the street. You want to go to the next one? A little closer to it. Essentially, the materials, it's yellow Alaskan cedar. Well, it's natural. The renderings represent maybe an age in time when it's not fully weathered, but it will weather the beautiful, great silver patina that yellow Alaskan does. On the gables of the house, it's yellow shingles, yellow Alaskan shingles. Very minimal rakes, if you will. There's no soffits, no overhangs. Just a square gutter along the roof lines. Body of the house has some interesting material textures happening. It's all yellow Alaskan. There's a rain screen application on that left side tower, basically an open joint rain screen, so you get some of the shadows in there. There is some glass behind the larger slat fin walls to the right of the front door, where the stair is. That will allow some light through, but it'll block about 50% of the light.
Oh, that's glass back there.
There is glass back there. You'll see that in the night renderings.
And those two flanges too.
And then the shutters, as we represented, sort of a modern version of a shutter. They actually are open slats. 3 of the 4 windows do have windows behind them. One of them is fixed, but that is an attempt to add a shutter, add a detail, take away some of the glass from the street. They cut down about 30% of the light that would come out from those lit rooms. Next rendering, as we spin around the house, there's the volume to the left. You'll see sort of a single-story garage with a little gable on top of it. The railings are left over. I don't want to say left over, but the railings are because we wanted a flat roof. And the flat roof element sort of came first. And then the railings are wood, vertical wood railings. Keep going on, I guess. Vantage point from the rear, you'll just see the rear of the property as it opens up. It is very large property relative to the house that sits up there. One other thing I will say too is on the site plan, I didn't put out the survey, the current house, even though we start about the rear of it, it does go about 10 feet deep within our house. So it's just a different oriented house. I believe that has about 4,000 square feet. Ours is a little over 1,500. From the rear of the property line, you'll see there's a 15-foot sort of roof volume in the middle of the house. There's covered living, off some room in the back of the house. Next slide. Close enough to show you that. Again, the texture, the shingles, some of the vertical yellow Alaskan cedar, and then the railings pick up again sort of on that shutters and that, vertical fins on the front of the house. The windows are all, gunmetal gray in color, which I have samples of a gunmetal gray versus a dark bronze. It's a little grayer than the bronze we wanted to go with, but I think it works nicely with the yellow Alaskan. Next slide. Front fully developed. This, I think, helps put into context, scale to the neighbors. You'll see the house behind is a large house that actually faces the opposite of us. The rears sort of face each other. So there's some significant distance between the two houses. Don't know what's coming to the east here, then I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure what's coming to the east yet, but we were sensitive to the existing houses to the west. You'll see there's less volume, less windows to face down. The night renderings, you see the shutters sort of cutting marks in the light. Actually, I just noticed a mistake. The top right volume shouldn't have light through those two shutters. Those are actually false. So you'll see on my calculation, there should not be light coming out from the top two shutters. Here, night perspective. Yep. If you go to the nights, yeah, there you go. So here are our calculations. Percentage wise, I'll go over them with you. The front is a little over 18% glass to wall area, and that is taking into account the shutters that are blocking 30%. And
You reduce that portion by 30?
Yeah, 30%. To the side that face west, the current neighbors, you'll see we're under 6% there. It's hard to believe at 6%. Those are opaque garage doors, so they will not emit light. The rear, which is the deepest from any neighbors and faces the bulk of our yard, we're just at 30% there, 30.7%. The east side, just under 8%. Do have some images included of neighbors, other houses on the street, if you'd like to see those. These are some of the neighborhood, if you will. Yeah, Gambrel is a shingle site. It's this farmhouse in the top left, and I think it's a good character of homes. Thank you.
The design is beautiful. Done a great job. I think combining the clean water feeling, but also remaining beautiful aspects. It's a nod to the builder.
I agree. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's very thoughtful to the neighbors, the whole vibe of Sataponic.
Everyone talk about the mystery.
We Daria, who's our landscape architect, she's on the line, but I think she's here. Daria, are you here? Well, maybe she is, but there are some really nice specimen trees that we plan on keeping. That one big one in front is something that we plan on hoping being able to keep, as well as I think this is thanks. These are the existing trees that we plan on hoping to be able to keep. So that's this is about a 7-page PDF. We just kind of go through. This is one that's right. These are the ones that are in front, and give you some perspective of being able to keep those. This is along the west side, again, an area that we're very sensitive about. There's an existing hedge and some tall trees that we plan on keeping there. There's a nice tree in the back left of the property. And then this is the house that's behind us, again, which is a relatively new house. I think it's 2016, a substantial house with some very substantial trees that we have, the tree that's to the right is ours that we plan on keeping there, and then 3 or 4 others are the neighboring properties. So, and these are just some dogwoods that we plan on transplanting throughout the property.
Great. Yeah, I think the only thing that I would hope for a new home, especially with the footprint that was the old home, that it wouldn't be so horizontal, so wide to the street, making it look large, right? Which it is, of course, and you're allowed to build that. But there are ways to make it look like it has less mass, right? When it goes the way that it was built originally, right? Where it goes back down the length of the property. And then the presentation to the street is less, massive, if you will. Does anyone have any?
Could I maybe just
Yes,
comment
please.
that about that like most? So the house is 94 feet wide. We actually at the front line set back at 88 feet. I think we were at about 104 feet that could have actually got to. So we, certainly did max it out. I think also by pushing the garage portion back, like Will said, will help that feeling of width. And I think, showing those few other homes on hedges, as well as if you look at homes on Fairfield Pond, Parsonage, I think our width is pretty appropriate in size. Well, Abby, if you even went to just again a little bit more perspective, number 5, site contacts, like the first page. I mean, there's a lot going on there. Maybe that first page, Abby, that you just had.
Okay.
There's a lot to see there, but I think looking at this, I think it feels pretty natural in terms of sizing.
And the way the site, the program lays out, unfortunately, it does sort of, lead to that. And we're sensitive, and we tried to push the step house back, like I said, to help break that up or break the feeling up that it was just a wide house.
Yes, and I understand that it is similar to the ones around it, right? I think if you think about Sagaponic as a whole and where we want it to be and what we love about its charm is that there were and are still some smaller, more native homes sprinkled in with these, right? And so the more that we, approve the grand presentations, right, which are beautiful, it just sort of will slowly take all of that away. So just something to consider.
If you are sort of jammed by wanting the house a certain size and having the program oriented that way. But even if you address sort of the lighting in the front entrance with the slats, sort of reduce it, but it does at night sort of have a monolithic hole. It sort of showcases the entire house a little more. So I think reducing some of the lighting here, or at least make it seem a little less of a one large structure. And also I think the rear fenestration is a little large, and given that you want us to exercise the same sensitivity of the vacant developable properties next door and the struggles we went through with your neighbor across the street, I think somehow addressing that, maybe even with the slats or with some low emission lighting or something.
The low emissions glass on the front elevation help that too. If you go to the front, we've even considered, putting those slats next to the front door. So it feels, more like a wall of those and eliminating the glass altogether. We did put a solid front door in there to help.
Yeah.
But with the low emissions glass in its entirety, help that. It doesn't really change the mass, but it may change the light.
Yeah, I think it,
Maybe a little bit, but I think
Yeah.
generally as a,
From the rear, we'll consider that.
percentage threshold that we're comfortable with. Just need to digest it a little bit.
Always glazing is always our concern. Is light pollution. But the slats, the shutters on the front of the house help. There's nothing on the back.
Yeah, so there's some other story windows in the middle back there, that we've contemplated, considered that same detail, adding there, and that would definitely help.
That would help a lot.
yeah. So the clerestory, so running basically parallel with the railing, sort of?
Yeah, exactly, and that was the good idea, yeah, it almost like sort of a continuation of the,
I mean, that would bring the most egregious part of the light pollution at the first level, which really, the idea is privacy and self-preservation takes care of that. So I think that, I mean, that would definitely satisfy me.
Okay.
And I wouldn't want to touch too much of the overall design, because I think it's really, really nice. Rob with the house on top of it is really charming.
It's very,
Yeah, the use
Thoughtful.
of, yeah, the use of vertical siding to
Yeah.
break up the monotony is really great. Should we count this as a peak modernism for Sagaponic?
right.
All right, well.
So maybe if you want to look into look into some elements of maybe increasing the slats all the way throughout there, like you had mentioned, and for the clerestory windows. And maybe if you want to bring a sample of an acceptable low emission window, just in case we're at that edge and you feel you don't want to move any more windows physically, that could be sort of the tiebreaker kind of thing.
Okay.
But I feel like I'm okay with the,
I think how it's staggered, it gives depth, it makes it not, because of the way that it's done, it's not just completely flat.
and well sub 10% on either
Yeah,
the east and west side. So it is
yeah,
gonna have a serious effect to neighbors on it.
You just think about the before and after that, you know.
Yeah. What's that?
And so much property in the back
Mhm.
to work with that.
but if you're looking at it from this angle, without the driveway, without the plantings, you do have, I feel like it does. Look at this or that. Yeah. Yeah,
Going to continue. We are careful, that's all. I'm just going to ask to consider reducing the massing. East to west. Think about it. We have a lot of land to work with in the back, so that's my request. And then the glazing Tony was mentioning would be appreciated before we come back, and hopefully there'll be some more board members at the next meeting. You'll find it, but that design is beautiful.
thank you, next time.
Okay.
March 14, new submission, please.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn,
I'm sorry.
in favor?
I.
This is right.
Except you just said that. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. 62 Parsonage Pond Road.
Hi again, can I give you a show and tell to start? Whether this is gonna be, you guys? This is the heaviest one. Yeah. Okay, it's Kevin O'Sullivan again. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan, Associates for the designers for 62 Parsonage Pond for the Goldenbergs. And what we have popped up here is just to show some context from the position of the house and then the distance from the house to the nearest neighbors. Just to give you an idea of dimensions. And so to the rear from Parsonage Pond Road, we are 463 feet from the road at the point of this property. This property is a little strange because it's such a pie shape. So it does have a very deep yard to the road. But then from the subdivision, it looks like a regular house in the subdivision. Next door, which is off of Parsonage Pond Road, the nearest neighbor is 336 feet. And to the house, their garage is a little closer. And then the neighbor to the right is 242, and they are accessed off of Parsonage Pond Road as well. And the house across the road from them on Parsonage Pond is 236. So that gives you a little context of where the house is. There were items on the property that were already there that the homeowner had asked us to retain, and they did not want to remove their tennis court or their existing pool house. And it was already built post the 1997 house being built. They added a pool house, I think about 12 years ago into there. So from this context, we can see our site plan. So again, position of the house is really determined because of the pie shape on the property and being squeezed in by the existing conditions that were on the property. We retained the existing governor driveway that was there, so there's no change to that. And we're essentially sort of taking down the house in its current location and putting a house down on top of that one. So these are the start of our imagery for our render. This is the view from the left hand, or the first access on the governor driveway coming off of Parsonage Pond Road if you make the left. The house here is showing the materials, and that's my show and tell there on your table. So the upper section of this house is in Shishobi-ban wood. We are still swithering whether that is going to be a mahogany that's been Shishobi-ban or a cedar or a cypress. It's really depending on the cost. We originally envisaged this as being in an Aphromosia, which is an African teak wood, and then roasting it. But the Aphromosia prices have gone through the roof.
Can you describe Shishobi-ban?
Oh, so Shishobi-ban is a traditional Japanese technique where in Japan, originally in the 1400s, they roasted their wood, and it reacts and roasts with the tannins inside the wood, which actually produces a natural poison to insects. So it was a way of them preserving their buildings without using any chemicals, because they didn't have chemicals. And that technique has been kind of westernized and moved in.
It's a way of making the wood have a much longer lifespan. There's much less maintenance associated with it. There's no chemicals that we need to use on it, which I'm obviously concerned about clients breathing in chemicals of stains on woods and things. Really, when it goes up, it goes up. And then there's no maintenance, there's nobody having to do anything to that. The application in this process is a rain screen. So that means that you're kind of doubly benefiting from the Shoshone ban because the wood is exposed to the elements on all four sides of the material.
Which one of these is?
So it's either or, because of the pricing. This guy here is actually an Hoyer and a style wood from a Western red cedar that's been Shoshone bound. And this guy here is a Japanese cedar. So the roasting material, the way that it's done on this one is a much quicker process. You can see the roasting slightly on the back, but where they make the cuts of the wood, the roasting's on the surface. But this gives you enough protection on this roasting to prevent bugs from drilling in and getting stuck inside the wood. And
But
eating
then
it.
there's a stain on top of it.
No, there is no stain on top of this. Western red cedar, no stain.
What's making it black?
That's the roasting.
You're showing me that this is the roasting.
No, this is, if you rub this, your fingers get dark because it's the soot from the wood.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually, that's the wood.
I see.
Yeah. But there's no stain on that.
And it's a hardwood technique too, not just softwood?
It doesn't really work with like oaks and things
Yeah.
because the way that the tannins are with the oak, it doesn't really work very well. It really works mainly with softer woods like cedars, akoyas, all of those ones. We have it on cypress, actually in the office. It works very well with Spanish cypress. With the cypress, you can actually brush it as well, so then you get texture. But you don't want to do that outside because then you just made your surface area that much more for things to stick to. So we're trying to prevent things from sticking to it. Yeah, it's a very hardy material, and once you've actually roasted that. So that's our proposed second story material. Our window frame colors is actually a bronze metal on our window frames. And on our lower floor, we've got our glazing, we've got our bronze window frames, and we've got panels of unfilled travertine. So two color variations, just as the material varies. Some parts of the slab are here and some parts of the slab are here. But if you can see, then that then ties in with our paver material that the chaps like Guardia who are landscape architects who are suggest. So our palette is sort of a very clean palette. The Shoshone down in the blackness. Actually, the inspiration for that are the black cedar buildings that you have in Sagaponic. You probably know that the reason the cedar goes black is because of the fungus and the mold on the cedar. And many years ago, actually the last time I presented here 14 years ago, I was doing a house that was dark, and we went through the whole discussion about whether a dark building was appropriate for Sagaponic. And everybody realized that there's lots of dark buildings because the cedar's so dark. So that's sort of the inspiration for the outside of the house. Two volumes, a lower volume with a second story volume, kind of sliding across one another in a much more modern application. You're not really going to see any of the window frames on the second floor because of the detail where the wood is done as an extension jamb from the window frame. So the window frame is completely covered by the cedar on the second floor, and the window frames are exposed on the first floor. Pulling around into the building, we broke up the masses in the back. The kitchen is on the left side there. The building that's farther on the left of the page, that's the existing pool house. And LaGuardia has come up with a plan for a new swimming pool, new pool decks, and then new planting. There's an existing very heavily mature tree screening all the way around the property and also in the front, and we're not changing any of that. That's all existing. It's going to stay. So really, material wise on this building, there's two materials on the elevation. There's wood and there's stone. When we were going through the calculations, I was just refreshing for today's meeting. On these calculation sheets, you'll see in this glazing, there's actually an error on the last page where you see all four elevations together. Thank you. On the east elevation, which is this guy here, I'm actually missing the side wall of the garage. So that brings my percentage down on that elevation to 13%, which brings down my overall percentage to 22.25%.
Thank you. Work of art.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
So we signed these plans up in 2019 during COVID. And this project has been going since 2019. So it's a kind of, it's like, it's almost going to go to elementary school. Yeah.
It's almost like it's floating.
You've got it. So inspired by sort of more of the Philip Johnson sort of ideas, where we have two volumes, and really the second story volume should really appear that it's floating in the air.
Yeah.
And you see
We're
through
kinetic at some mid-movement kind of.
That's correct, yeah. And when you stand in front of the living room window, you have a window right across from that living room that also goes wall to wall. So this window here is entrance foyer where the staircase is. But this window right here, during the day, as you pull in and you stand in the front yard, you'll see right through to the backyard. So that reinforces this idea that this is really a bridge of a second story volume joining the two sides.
And the real elevation, it's true that, the bulk of the fenestration is on the ground floor, which makes it less effective to neighbors and stuff.
Yeah.
But 39 still does set a precedent that gets us.
It does, and we played around with it a million different ways to try and reduce the amount of fenestration we have on the first floor as well as the second floor. And everything we came up with meant really the bedrooms on the second floor. Only, even if I had a window with an egress size window for fire code, it still didn't get me anywhere near where you want it to be.
Gotcha, yeah.
I was really stuck.
And the ceiling heights on the first floor are 11 feet?
That's correct. I think on the nighttime page 12, you really get sort of an idea about the illumination at night. Page 12. Yeah.
And this right here is all open, right? Is this open?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's an technician also.
Is this open?
This is all open. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Game on the back.
Okay.
Yeah, so the beam joins the two volumes together on either side.
The beam can't be there. That asking for where she was supposed to remove with these records.
I have the beam included.
You're not including the entire area back to the house, which that is what it's required to do. Beam
But if it's
below your FAR.
but if it's uncovered,
Yeah, it's uncovered. It adds mass and scale to the building. It's the way it's been for the past 15 years.
I thought it was only covered porches.
That beam has been moved by the ZBA to create more mass and scale towards the entire structure of the building, and therefore the entire area from the beam back to the house is to be counted as if it were a covered area. It has been the chagrin of many architects. Okay.
So I have two separate masses on either side. Pivoting. That's a bummer. The reason that that is there, obviously, as you can see, is to create that linear connection between the master bedroom wing and the kitchen wing. And we didn't want to go for this pavilionized sort of look on the back. And we're actually showing on these renderers a chimney there for the outdoor fireplace. And I think I've found a outdoor fireplace that I do not need a chimney for as a new fireplace. So that's actually going to be removed. Although it doesn't make any difference in the front elevation of the building, what people see, but that's probably coming. One thing we could do on the first floor to reduce fenestration, it's minimal though, is that currently there's a door which leads you back into the house and the powder room from those terraces. This door is shown as glass right now. That could be a solid door because my front door is a solid door. That would take off point instead of And we also believe that on the exteriors, on the rear elevation, we had included, again, floor to ceiling windows in the Astor, which are these two windows right here. And we'd included this entire area as being glazing, but actually this is a spandrel panel below here and here. But again, that's taking off another point. Something you're saying.
Some people have any comments on design? You want to start with that before we move to the glazing?
I think the design is beautiful. A lot of lights. Yeah.
I'm reacting to my own house that I live in Main Street in East Hampton, which was built in 1770. I need the light in my hand walking around.
Yeah.
Got one of those too, yeah.
I'm a lightaholic and I live in the darkest house ever known to man.
Me too.
But it's good because I can't see the dust bunnies.
Very true.
Design.
I think it's a, very nice design. It still references old houses and the nature here. Accommodations should be made in keeping a lot of fenestration on the first floor. But still has a lot of glass. It's a lot of Bahamian coral effect kind of stuff.
What do you mean when you say
Well, the inner Nick Martin would say you'd have to,
not local stuff?
ship to Antigua to get this stuff.
That's actually from Italy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a Roman trafficking.
Oh.
Yeah, that and basaltina are your two most used materials in Italy.
A Lyford key kind of thing. Not that I've ever been there, but.
Right, yeah.
It's on my foyer floor. I love it.
It is, yeah.
It's beautiful.
So, and then, me European side of me, because obviously I'm from Scotland originally, but I'm now an American. I love unfilled travertine just because in Europe that's what we see all the time. In America, it flies for about 30 seconds when you try and propose that to a client, and they're like, "But how does that not get dirty?" So
write it down instead.
exactly. So you cannot, well, you can't really use it inside an unfilled travertine. But this, the exterior panels of this are to be unfilled travertine because again, it's in a rain screen application, which means it's sort of self-washing. And the reason we wanted to go with the unfilled travertine is it's a lot more the way that nature originally made it, rather than being touched by man.
Yeah.
So that's why we elected to go for the unfilled travertine on the outside.
The chimney that's in the main part of the house
Yeah.
on top, does it need to be that high necessarily?
That was code. Yeah, I would love it to be lower.
Okay.
But that is the code requirement. If we can get it lower, I will.
And we're taking a long time with this application because there's a lot going on and it's the first time we've seen it.
Sure.
Beautiful. I think we might need to just adjourn it to
Or
address the windows. I think the glazing on the front and the back needs to be just reduced a bit more.
So I was listening to your comments from your last presentation.
Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of the wood screens. I think they're beautiful. I could propose putting some wood screening on, and also we were thinking that we would be using the photo glass anyway, the low emission glass. So if we were to show you some screening on the first floor in the rear, because I think that could actually help with the design. You know, obviously, so my goal is to get this passed and get this house built and get this baby out of me and actually somebody living in it. But also my goal is to make sure that everybody is happy with this, not just the client, but you guys as well. But then lastly, the designer in me is like, oh my God, well, what's this gonna look like? It's really important for it to look really beautiful.
Yeah.
So, but I think that.
Is there a way to add some of that screening without, and it wouldn't affect the float or anything?
No, I could do them on rollers. So then I could screen out one of those windows entirely in the kitchen and have that on a roller. So then you can decide where you want it. And likewise in the master bedroom, we could do the same thing. The windows in the living room fully pocket into the wall. So one of our main design aesthetics that we really move toward is that I'm a great proponent of indoor outdoor rooms, and I need to get outside at any opportunity. That's why we have a lot of moving glass walls. And during the summer, it's great if folks can get rid of the glass entirely and suddenly your living room has gone to an indoor outdoor living space. So in the living room, I have potted those 3 panel of glazing pockets within inside the wall. So the room really becomes an indoor outdoor space. And we have a motorized box screen there for when and if you ever need that. Yeah. Okay. So so then the hazard becomes like if I have a fixed piece of glazing with a screen on top, then I don't want to break down the opportunity of having this indoor outdoor space. But in the master bedroom, though, that we do not have that, or in the kitchen. So that's somewhere we could look at. What sort of number would you be happy with on the rear?
I mean, anything approaching 30 and above starts to make us sort of accountable.
Right.
Again, I try to focus on what is on the second floor and what is on the first floor, and again, if there's glass on both sides, it's very different than, you know, glass hitting a white wall and.
Right.
That helps. The screening will take, the will take care of most of the stuff on the first floor.
Yeah, and the first floor and the rear is bedrooms, and I mean, I don't wanna sound weird, but most of the times when you're in a bedroom at night, can I have the curtains closed? And we have blackout roller screens in these rooms. And most of my clients nowadays are so light burst in the morning that they require fully motorized, trapped in, blacked out rooms where you can't see your hand in front of your face. And so, I mean, that's really, in the real use case, we're showing an exterior elevation with lights on, with windows open, or with no shading of the windows. And that's never going to be the real life situation, which is also something to think about.
Also, I think we're the first modern home on the Parsonage Pond Lane. This is the only modern home. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna adjourn it if we can address the glazing. Is there anything else anybody has?
I think just the glazing, yeah.
Thank you for taking us through it.
Okay, thank
It's
you
a
very
beautiful-
much.
His lights or fade on his golf holes.
Thank you very much for saying that you like the design. That's like saying your kid's cute.
Yeah.
So greatly appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Please don't throw these out. On my way out the door.
March 14th. Maybe you're gonna do the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? And we're gonna move on to driveway gate, 741 Daniels Lane. Give me just a second. Yes.
Someone representing the owner of 741 Daniels Lane. There were two driveway gates, a main entry gate and a service gate. And as you can see on the site plan, the entrances to parking in the driveways are off the right of way. The paved right of way connecting to Daniels Lane. And it places the first gate at 791 feet off Daniels Lane. The second driveway entrance, 1,115 feet.
Any photographs of the home itself? And what it would look like?
The home is under construction.
Okay.
I didn't.
We refer to
Yeah, okay.
last slits.
Very hard to visualize what the gate would look like without even some drawing of what it would look like.
No.
And so a right of way is a private road. Does it share a private road?
There is a,
You mentioned it's distant from Daniels Lane. Is it on a driveway or private road getting?
It's a common driveway, it's all the flag lots were put together into one common access point, that's why you'll see multiple property lines between the actual gravel surface of where they drive and where the property lines of the Saperstein's lot is. All of
Okay,
the gates are contained within the property lines of the Saperstein's property.
I'm okay with it. Maybe to Kim's another life.
I just had why is it so large? Like, is this,
The width?
Yeah,
So the width is 15 feet. Face to face of the columns.
Right.
So we have to meet fire code. One of my concerns here is that they'll also be turning in at an angle.
What's at the very top?
So.
Or in the 1100 feet one, the tighter one?
Well, you know, first responder, they're gonna come to the first gate.
Yeah,
You know, they're not gonna know a service gate or anything. They're gonna come to the address, it's gonna be pinged. And that's the gate that they're gonna, the opening that they're gonna drive through. So the minimum in Southampton town is gonna be 14 feet face to face. So we pull it back 6 inches wider on either side to clear the driveway edging.
okay.
I think it looks larger in width only because of the height. It's
Right.
relatively low.
and the columns are so big. And does the gate, it slides,
This is this
Okay.
is a sliding gate, so it's a pocket, it's like a pocket door.
Right.
So
We're gonna see
so it's sliding through the column.
And it'll go through the other side, yeah.
Is there any landscaping to hide this part that comes out?
I believe there'll be, I don't have a landscape plan, but there's gonna be landscaping, right now it's rough.
Right.
You know, the driveway surface is not done or anything, but I believe there's landscaping throughout the whole front. So they're gonna screen everything up to the columns. With whatever landscaping is going along the right of way.
Yeah.
See what that.
So far from visible from a public road.
You don't, it's the second house on that flag lot, correct?
I believe so, yeah. Yes.
You're not gonna see it, so I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I mean, style of the gate is certainly what we're comfortable with. and-
Yeah.
So normally I would request the house pictures and what it looks like.
And like it's
different angles,
superimposed,
but,
with the
um,
gate superimposed over the house like that.
If you all feel comfortable because it's on flag lot, then.
And
that's fine.
yeah, I think the pocket door version ones are always a little better too, because people are more likely to keep them open. They sort of just disappear, they're not.
Do you approve it?
Yeah.
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the,
Second.
all in favor?
I,
Very well, thank you.
it's nice having the slot,
Mhm.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna. We're in all the technical, and what else?
Out of that.
You don't have to have, actually, so.
So-
House to do.
So that's actually not, I think Pat has the revised drawings from the Bible.
Except we just.
No, remember on Friday I dropped off, we redesigned the gates because the builder actually put forth the original application before we were involved.
Okay.
I didn't print these out, my apologies.
Well, I can look at the screen as long as we have something to provide.
So just take that
They're
one
in
and
the
crumple it up.
electronic.
Okay.
It's not, we're going.
Okay. Right.
I think they're all right here.
Oh, there we
Okay,
go.
that's great.
That's, yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. So Dan Thor, landscape architect with LaGuardia Design Group. Properties at 332 Parsonage. It's a Michael Davis house that's currently under construction. Similar to Mark's application, it's on a shared drive. Several hundred feet back from Parsonage Lane. So it's a common driveway with 1, 2, 4 or 5 lots that spring off of it. So the gate is set back significantly from Parsonage. You won't see it. I think we include some photos. Yeah, on the right, if you zoom map. There's a photo from Parsonage looking up the common driveway. It's actually quite beautiful. It's like an alley of old Zelkova trees. There's gotta be like 50 of them.
Yeah, it's beautiful, I know.
Yeah, so, but it's, so our property's way back
And then that bottom photo is, the gate is centered between two of the Zelkova trees entering the property. So 0%
Oh,
visibility.
so the tree, running parallel with the road also.
Correct, correct. Perpendicular. Parallel to the shared drive, perpendicular to parsonage.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a simple farm style gate, mahogany to weather gray. Yeah, very similar to Mark's application.
Yeah.
Slimmer columns, I think, but we are gonna have hedging that meets it to the left and right, kind of tucks it in. Gate meets all of the all the code requirements for height.
How many feet is it set back from the actual driveway?
We put it on the bottom, from the actual driveway.
From the actual,
I wanna say it's like, I think we put a very small dimension on there, if you wanna zoom it, it's probably, we typically set it back like 20-25 feet. To make room for the call box.
How many feet they put it back?
Yeah, I don't think it applies.
Yeah, I think it's 20.
An idea of
20
the-
feet.
How many feet it's set back? It's on the ground.
What is it supposed to be?
Don't we have a requirement for how many feet it has to go into the driveway?
So if you were fronting an actual road, then
Right.
depending on the lot size, it's either 20 or 40 feet. But when it comes to a private drive, the only thing that you gotta make sure of is that all the equipment, the gate, the call box and everything else is actually located on the person's property. But
Yeah,
there's.
we typically like to tuck the gate back far enough so when you're waiting to punch your code in, the tail of your car is not sticking out.
Or you can do a broken U-turn and not have a
Yeah,
UPS
so
guy back out
20,
furious.
22 feet is kind of the number.
It
there.
flows from the lot size, I'm looking to 45, 49. Let's see,
It's 26, is that what it is?
if it's 40,000 square feet or less, 20 feet street setback. If it's 40,000 square feet or less, or 40,000 square feet or more, I'm sorry, it's a 40-foot setback.
We don't have a street line on this one.
There's no street line, it's a
Yeah.
flag. This isn't in the historic district, right? This one?
Okay.
The neighbors there's neighbors gates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to vote?
Yeah, I'm comfortable approving.
Thank you guys.
Make a motion.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve this gate.
I will take it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Just switch the agenda discussion for the selection of the committee of two for March before the front porch talk.
I'm sorry, Maggie, what are you saying?
On the agenda, number 6, can I just put that to number 5? Can we talk about the committee of two, the March meeting?
Sure.
Okay, because I'm not here for the scheduled March meeting. I don't think Tony is either.
Okay,
Is there a way to move it to a different date in March? Or,
we'd have to advertise it.
I mean, I just hate for there to be
It's like calling a special meeting almost.
only 3 people again, and
Do we just push it to April?
Yeah, we could just,
we could, I feel bad, right, for the fairs and for the, people that.
Mr. Thayer is a long way away from getting a board of health permit. You're not slow with that.
Okay. Alright, I've
Too cold in the winter for good change.
I don't think we've ever skipped a month. as far as-
I mean, the
since I've
current
been-
configuration of the lot isn't recognized by the Board of Health as it is, so he has to straighten that out, and then he's gonna have to apply for the Board of Health permit, so. he's-
Oh, is it like an appeal subdivision or something?
There was a lot line modifications done by, I believe, Richard's father, that were just probably not filed correctly. So when the Board of Health goes back to their 1988 map or whatever it is,
They
the
don't see the
configuration of
decimal.
the property is different. And they need it to be updated and properly recorded so they can move forward.
Sounds like a cushion.
Alright,
So what day are you thinking about changing this to?
well, I think that they're suggesting that we not have one in March,
No, none in March, okay.
and that would be then just the April,
not having what in March?
a meeting,
Oh, really?
that's what they're saying. That it's
There's nothing.
There's another board.
You can do, you can do that. In Southampton Village, we have skipped scheduled meetings with proper notice that we're not going to be having that. That being said, we normally do it if there's gonna be nothing on the agenda. So.
Well, but we couldn't move it like a week ahead.
Well, we could.
Call a special meeting too.
We totally could.
Maybe,
It's supposed to happen on the 24th. Can it happen on the 31st? That's still in March.
Special meeting, I can get you some info before I leave. I think you have to have it noticed at least 10 days at a time.
Can we just move it to the 31st of March? That's still March.
Yeah, I don't see why, no, we don't have any conflict with that day.
I'm not sure.
Okay, but I will be back.
Yeah. I think I should be back.
Okay,
Late
that's just
Sunday
pushing
night.
it 1 week farther away instead of skipping.
If there's a conflict, I will let you know, but I believe that we're okay.
Okay, well, maybe we just get some attendance notifications earlier on.
Yeah, maybe
Sure.
yes.
Is Catherine still on?
Yes. Catherine?
Catherine,
I'm here.
Are you
Can you hear
available?
me?
Yes. Are you available March 31st for the meeting next month?
Let me see. March 31st.
we need her in person.
I know, I understand. I can tentatively say yes, but I can't give a firm commitment.
Okay.
But if you need me, I can be there.
Okay, I think we do. We're just gonna get some attendance from the other members to make sure we can at least have 3.
Okay. And so
Okay, I think we're
who would be there? Who else?
good. Yep. I will be there. Tony's saying 90% sure, probably, and Emily can be there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
So I think that's great. We would love to have you.
John's not gonna be
I
there.
won't be here.
Oh.
Chris will be here. I'll be here in spirit.
We'll call you and keep you updated.
I'll still be local.
We'd like you to join our YouTube channel so you can.
Come find me over at Greenberg.
All right, thanks, Catherine. We'd love to have you here. It's hard when it's just the 3 of us.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I'm really gonna try, and I'll let you know as soon as I can, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, now I can.
So there wouldn't be in April?
So there will be in April, but the original meeting was scheduled for March 24th, but it's the middle of our spring break and a bunch of us are traveling, so I think.
I know. Okay.
The proposed date?
31st.
Okay. April.
Of
March.
Will the house on Parsonage Pond Road, he'll come back?
Yes,
I thought that was beautiful.
well, we have to end,
Well, let's do the discussion of the.
yeah, no discussion of the application.
Okay.
Committee of 2, who will be committee? of
Later.
Okay, thanks, Catherine.
Oh, well, we're meeting still.
Oh, Catherine? Catherine?
2? She left.
Okay. I can do committee too.
Anybody else?
I possibly do it. I'm gonna be going, but when would we be having it?
It just happens when it happens,
When it happens?
as things come up.
Well, have there been any committee two resolutions this month?
I don't
It
think there
was you
are.
and Alicia last month.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
don't
this
think,
one we don't have any, so it's like.
no, but I mean, something might come up in the middle.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, you can sign me up.
Okay, we got you down. And then are we gonna discuss about the porches?
Sure. I'm not sure what there is to discuss, honestly.
Catherine's coming back in.
Okay.
Okay, I'm here.
Oh, hi, we're back. This is your other date.
Do you need me?
Well, I guess it's on the agenda to discuss the front porches again.
But you can't, you can just listen. Catherine.
From this, I think she can.
I think you
John,
can.
right? Yeah.
I would be just driving around. Arguably, most properties would look more pleasant and inviting with the classic front porch.
Yes. And the mayor's stipulation saying that it would be just houses that are on facing a street. Not a flag lot, not.
And visible,
Not visible, doesn't matter, this is just for the improvement of visually, wherever it is.
So the houses on a flag lot don't get it.
No,
And I think that keeps us from people trying to game the system.
yes, because it's about making this area more welcoming and keeping with that architecture, so with those guidelines, I'm 100% for it.
Okay,
As, yeah, of course, subjective to approval by us.
right, of course.
Right.
I mean, John, how can this go awry? How can we be?
Well, this takes a lot of the guesswork out of what the front of the house is and all those sort of
Right.
definitions. So I mean, this really has a hard way of going awry. I mean, if they're going to extend the front porch, it would come before you guys anyway, and it would have to fit within either the FAR or the 300 square foot exemption or whatever exemption is given. So this has a very low probability of abuse.
Oh, yeah, it just gives us, it just sort of ZBA gets to say it's not part of their overall coverage, and then it pushes to us to see if it's, does what it's supposed to, yeah.
Okay. All right, so then you write a letter? You write a letter from us
Chris could.
To
Chris
say-
could.
to say that we are in favor of this motion to grant more square footage for front porches.
Yeah, I think that hopefully that will be something a lot of, architects are interested in. Maybe not, I have no idea,
But it's everyone's constantly a land grab, it's not like everyone
Yeah.
would.
Buying property on a street front so they can have.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Adjourn the meeting?
That's all. Well,
That's all.
thank you all for having me this last
Thank you.
Fantastic tenure.
2 years.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
How long it's been.
Yeah, good luck in your next venture.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it. So,
Same commute, yeah.
yeah, it'll be the same commute and hopefully I'll be seeing you and hopefully you'll take it easy on me.
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm coming ahead of that.
Get some
Hopefully you'll
unsolicited
take
advice from
easy hours.
Panera during lunch and stuff.
I'll take you all out to lunch at the areas too.
Perfect.
Sway the
Adjourn the
board.
meeting?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to
Red
adjourn
Bull,
the
yes,
meeting.
every time.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Should we stop the recording?
Bye, Catherine.